Welcome back to the Lackluster channel. On May 6th of 2016, Officer Stephen Mader was on duty for the Weirton Police Department in West Virginia. While on patrol, dispatch received a call from a woman in distress.
Please send somebody to 119 Marie Avenue, Weirton, West Virginia right now. Please, right now.
Okay.
Right now.
119 what?
119 Marie Avenue, Weirton, West Virginia.
What's the problem?
Her boyfriend, R.J. Williams, was threatening to kill himself with a knife. After learning that a 911 call was made, R.J. retrieved an unloaded pistol from his car, stating that he intended to get the police to shoot him. This prompted a second call to 911.
Clip out of the gun, and he said he was going to threaten the police with it, just so they would shoot him, but he does not have a clip in the gun.
Officer Mader was the first to arrive on scene and saw that R.J. was holding a pistol, pointed at the ground, knowing that just because someone says a weapon is unloaded, it doesn't mean that it's clear. However, the mere possession of a handgun isn't illegal in West Virginia, but based on RJ's visibly despondent demeanor, actions, and statements, Officer Mader concluded that RJ was attempting to end his life by making the officer shoot him. The Fourth Amendment prohibits an officer from using deadly force unless the facts and circumstances known to him lead him to believe that the target poses an immediate threat of death or serious bodily injury to themselves or others. The state of West Virginia has a similar use of force policy, and similar to most departments in the U.S., the Weirton Police Department's use of force policy prohibits the use of deadly force except in defense of themselves or others from an objectively reasonable belief of an immediate threat of death or serious bodily injury. In light of the facts known to the officer, he did not believe that RJ posed a risk to anyone and instructed him to put the weapon down. RJ begged over and over for Officer Mader to shoot him. Instead, the officer tried his best to de-escalate the situation, telling RJ that he wasn't going to shoot him. In an interview with The Guardian, he explained that RJ wasn't angry or aggressive, and never pointed the pistol at him, never perceiving RJ to be a threat. But as he was talking to him, Officers Baker and Kuzma arrived on scene. RJ allegedly raised his weapon and Officer Kuzma shot him in the back of the head, killing RJ. The weapon that RJ was holding, as reported, was not loaded. Following the events of May 6th, Officer Mader was placed on leave pending an evaluation by a social worker. He returned to work on May 12th, but just 5 days later, he was placed on leave again, pending an investigation into his actions that night. Even though he had not been the one to pull the trigger, Police Chief Alexander told him that he put the other two officers in danger. And then, on June 7th, 2016, the Weirton Police Department notified Officer Mader that his employment had been terminated due to his alleged failure to meet the probationary standards of an officer, that he had apparent difficulties in critical incident reasoning, and had failed to eliminate a threat, noting that making any decision is better than making no decision at all. But Officer Mader had made a decision. The department had essentially fired him because of his decision to not use deadly force. He was accused of negligence, poor judgment, and other gross deficiencies in his capabilities as a police officer. But at no time after the shooting did any Weirton Police Department official contact Officer Mader to ascertain the reasons for his actions that night. The man that did pull the trigger, Officer Kuzma, allegedly texted Officer Mader that he was nothing but a coward, and that he didn't have the balls to save his own life. The now ex-Officer Mader began attending a school to obtain his CDL. One day during class, Officer Kuzma came to the school and repeated the same profanity-laced allegations in front of Mr. Mader's instructor and classmates. But Chief Alexander denied the incident and refused to take a report. Finally, on May 10th of 2017, Mr. Mader filed a lawsuit against the city of Weirton for wrongful termination, 14th Amendment stigma plus damage to reputation, First Amendment and retaliation, and for violating his right to due process. After the suit was filed, the city argued that Mader was actually terminated for 2 other prior incidents, and not for holding fire against RJ. This claim did not square with the termination letter, however, which directly and repeatedly chastised Mader for not shooting. 5 months later, the lawsuit was amended to include Chief Rob Alexander, City Manager Travis Blosser, and Officer Ryan Kuzma. The response to the complaint was that they were generally without sufficient knowledge to admit or deny the allegations, and as expected, They also raised and preserved the defense of qualified immunity. However, the defendants finally settled and paid Mr. Mader $175,000 and was granted a pledge that they would not prevent him from obtaining a new job in law enforcement elsewhere. The chief has since been replaced, and Officer Kuzma was promoted to sergeant in 2019. Without the use of body-worn and dash cameras, we will never know exactly how that night played out, but as the lawsuit alleges, Mr. Mader wasn't fired for not killing RJ that night. He was fired for not killing him fast enough. Thanks for watching. If you have a video you'd like me to review, email it or send it in via Facebook Messenger. You can also view this and other content on my website. If you're new here, subscribe for future content. If you've been around for a while, remember to like, share, and comment down below of what you think of this interaction. Shirts and other goodies are available at the Teespring store linked below. Channel memberships start at just $1 if you'd like to further support the channel and get a slick lack logo next to your name. I'll see you in the next video. All links are down below.